Alessandra's asking about Curbio. Curbio is a company that will actually go in and do all the fix-ups and everything and get paid at closing. There's another company, it's not coming to mind right now, that I haven't used Curbio personally, but I've heard good things about them. And there's a couple other companies out there that do the same thing. They'll come in and remodel. Sometimes it's overkill, but they'll give a couple of different estimates based on what you want done at
Yeah, my
different levels.
client, the listing that I have, my client, the feedback everyone is getting is needs a lot of work, needs too much work. We
Right.
just got an appraisal done finally. He listened to me.
Yay! Good for you. That's good. That's
It
good.
appraised at 125 and we're listed at 1.2, but still everyone that comes, they're like,
Yeah.
no, it's not for us. It's too much work. So
So the
maybe
house
something
itself
like this.
it's a good area, good bones, but it just is not appealing. Maybe there's an energy thing with the house that is throwing people off too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he just has a lot of stuff. I think once he finally gets all his stuff out and moves, it'll be a
yeah,
lot better.
yeah. So the appraiser didn't do you any favors, but that's okay. You know, the good thing about having an appraisal is now you can post the appraisal and say, look, this house has been appraised. It will appraise out at it appraised for more than we're asking. And that for some buyers is for a lot of buyers really, it's a peace of mind, like, oh, okay, so I'm not overpaying for this, especially in this emerging market.
And everything you told him definitely applies to the divorce, because my niche is divorce.
Sure, absolutely.
And I guess my one question would be appealing to attorneys, because they have that kind of know-it-all feeling.
Yeah. Attorneys, most of them have a seniority complex, if you will, or what do they call it? The surgeons have this too. I forget what they call it. The God complex or something like that they call it. So they actually have that. Not all of them, but heck, they went to school for a long time. They're really good at what they do. They get paid a lot of money. They're in demand. They're sought out. People beg them, like we were begging, like, could you please do our surgery? We need, so yeah, I can get how they can get that way. Surgeons are that way, but with attorneys, what attorneys respect is professionalism. Okay. The reason why most attorneys don't respect real estate agents, I'm just going to be honest with you, because I had a guy call me one time and he said, hey, Knolly, I've got 4 houses in Austin that I need to sell. And I said, well, tell me. So it turns out this guy had 10 homes in Austin, and he was down to his last 4. He couldn't sell them because he was underwater. It was years ago. And I got them sold for him, all 4. And what he noted was, he said, man, you're unlike any other agent that I've worked with because you're professional. I have business acumen. And so what I tell, my students is, if you want to start working with attorneys, you have to have a high level of acumen business wise, because like we say on the streets, or I used to say, game recognizes game. Okay. Mm. So when an attorney meets with another professional, they're going to say, wait a minute, Alessandra's different. Like her communiques, like one thing you'll notice about attorneys is when they communicate, they call it a communique. If they're sent out an email, text, whatever, it's a communique. So now I worked with attorneys for years. So I without crossing the line and starting to speak legalese, which I can do also, because I used to draw up contracts. I had 4 attorneys on retainer for years. When you start to meet them where they are, like for example, you craft an email, you craft it professionally, like it's professionally drafted. They respect that. When you have professional pieces like your book, your marketing plan, your everything, your package, they respect that. Okay, especially attorneys that are marketers. So go in we used to go on like the yellow pages. Anybody know have y'all seen the yellow pages lately? I haven't seen one. But find attorneys that are marketing based, because there's a lot of them out there that are really big into marketing, and they will resonate with you as a fellow marketer and an entrepreneur, because they're entrepreneurial, okay? And you have to be ultra professional. And then you just go out to them. Most attorneys that you're going to get are going to come through an allied resource. Like you can't just walk up into an attorney's office and knock on the door and say, hey, I'm Alessandra, I'm the bang shiggity, and this is why you need. No, they don't respect you. Now, the best way to reach into an attorney is just go through anybody that you know that's been divorced, anybody, and just ask them who they used. You know, I mean, it's a sensitive topic, but you say, hey, Tony, you know, you divorced a couple of years ago. Who'd you use? Were they any good? Oh yeah, they were great, such and such. And then when you call them, you have sort of a mutual opening. You say, hey, Tony, such and such, you did his divorce case. I've already helped 15 or however many clients you've helped with divorce. And I'm really good at it. I'm super professional. Tony asked me to give you a call. And boom, you got, and make it about them. Like, hey, as I have more clients that are facing divorce, are you taking on any more clients? You know, and just start the conversation that way. Now, Allied Resources is another place to get them. And that means like Allied Resources would be another business that you do business with that also has, connections with attorneys. Right. So you have to, with attorneys, you have to come in through the side door, not the front door.
There's one group that I go to. It's a divorce group, and it's a bunch of professionals who help people getting a divorce. So I've been going to those meetings.
Now, what you want to do, here's another tip. What you want to do is you want to take your book, your seller guide, and here's how you're gonna win them. On the back cover, if you're working with attorneys that are marketing savvy, you just say, hey, on the back cover, you draft up an ad. Like, remember you used to do those yellow page ads? Yeah, I remember that. Well, you do one, it's going to fit on the back of my book. And I'll go ahead and give you copies of it with all your information on the back, my information on the front, and you just pass it out to any client. So you partner with them that way. Remember, when you're printing your book, you only have to print like 2 or 3. So you can have a number of different versions of your book, right? So you can have, if it were me and I had 10 attorney partners, I would have 10 versions. I would have one, and then I just make sure to keep them stocked. They love it. I mean, you're marketing me, what's up, So you don't have to tell them that the books that you're giving them are just for them. You just say, hey, I'm printing up some books. I'll give you the back in exchange for referrals. Not going to cost you a dime. Unless you want to charge them, I wouldn't charge them. I would just get 10 copies printed, give them to the attorney with their permission, and say, hey, what do you think of this? They do the ad, you give them to them, because that's now an IOV that they can give to anybody that comes to them for divorce consultation. No other agent has that. So there's things that you can do that really will set you apart. You got to scream out very loud, I'm not like the other agents that you've done business with. They got to get that message real clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they will once they meet you. I mean, you're super professional.
Yeah. I worked
what
for an
did you do before real estate? Okay. Yeah.
I worked for an attorney in high school. It was a family law firm in San Francisco, and they handled like Boz Scaggs's divorce.
Okay.
That was their level.
Wow.
Yeah. They worked with Marvin Belli a lot. So.
Okay. So you would want to bring that up. Say, hey, I got my first start in my professional career working on these kind of cases, and this is where my heart is, and then talk about what professionalism you've had before, like what you did before real estate. If it
teaching
applies,
yoga. Okay,
that may not apply for attorneys unless you get some Austin attorneys. Mo, it might be really good for them. But I would say, just say, hey, I was an entrepreneur, had my own business for 20 years. And before that, I worked with attorneys doing this. And here's why, but if you come in through a mutual contact, that's a better way. And then give them an IOV, okay? And then let them know that you're going to be a referral partner they're going to be one of your referral partners as well. You only need, truthfully, if you have good attorneys like that, you only need about maybe 10 good ones. And there's thousands out there, but you just need 10 good family law attorneys. And then you'll start to build your business. Even if they only refer you 3 or 4 cases a year, that's 30 to 40 referrals of people that they don't want to sell, they don't need to sell, they have to sell, okay? Because the attorney, the estate, they've already declared that we need to liquidate the real property. Are you going to buy it out? No, you're not going to buy it out. Then we need to liquidate.
Yeah.
So,
community property.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Get to know the judges too. Yeah.
Yes, the judges, because that's some of them get appointed like at the court hearing, is what I've seen.
Yeah, that's true. What you mean appointed to an attorney or what?
Appointed to a realtor.
Yeah. So that's
by the judge.
But usually what will happen even before that is that they're going to throw a couple of names in the hat. Okay. And then the judge will say, okay, we're going to work, because the problem with divorce is that, especially if it's a hostile, like I had one case where the husband and wife, I couldn't even CC like each other on the same email. Like they were at that level to where everything was separate and distinct conversations. And so, you have to win the trust of both parties. So like if one spouse recommends an agent, then the other one's not going to want to go with that one in some cases, unless it's amicable,
Yep.
So you have to, as best you can, try to talk to both parties, figure out, and let them know, hey, here is how I work in sensitive cases like yours. And
my last one that I helped, he was a police officer and he had left her for dead. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I had to smile at him and just like, hey, I totally have your back. And I'm like, yeah.
That's a bad one. I've had some really bad ones, but that's bad. So yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, we could actually go pretty deep in the weeds. And actually next call is when you guys voted for me to go a little bit more in the weeds with some of the things that we've learned. Okay. So we're going to do that more next week, but there's a lot to,
I was also thinking of approaching mediators.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a perfect idea, actually. Yeah. Because a lot of couples now are just amicably saying, look, we're done. Yeah, we both agree. Let's just figure out what we want to do, and then let's just get it legally done, right? So they go the mediation process, or they're assigned mediation. So yeah, that's a good. And mediators will know attorneys too. You warm up to them and get to know them. It's got to be a win-win. Quid pro quo, as attorneys like to say. It's got to be something. We think quid pro quo is like freebie, but it really is like it's something for something. Like they're getting something out of it, whether it be training, or there's got to be something in it for them. So when you identify what they need or what would, and sometimes, honestly, Alessandra, sometimes they just want to help. They're like, hey, I'm a woman-owned business. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. I need you to, I'm really good at this. I did this in high school, and they just want to help you. So not all attorneys will be like that, though.
Yeah. So far, the ones that I've approached, they really like the fact that I help with the emotional side of it, because then it's just one less conversation that they have to have explaining things.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I explained to an attorney. I say, look, what I realize is that in a lot of divorce cases, you're going to have separate and distinct conversations that are duplicate, and I have no problem doing that. So in other words, if something comes through the pipeline, I will communicate that to spouse A, and then I'll make a separate and distinct call to spouse B and communicate it in their style. I'll get to know their style or how they want to be communicated to. Do they want to prefer text or phone call? Are they highly excitable, or do I keep it muted? I'm very professional in that way. And this is what I've understood. And when you start explaining yourself that way, they're like, oh, wow, this is refreshing. Because they think most agents are lazy, and they're probably not far off.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just coming up with something fresh, and it just makes sense to do that. You understand what it takes, and you're willing to do it. Very important.
Thank you.
Very important. You're welcome. Hope that was helpful.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hey, I want to invite you out to Knolly Coaching Club. That's right. The Knolly Coaching Club is where I'm able to teach, train, and coach you every single week to your ultimate greatness. Go to knollycoaching.com and I'll see you on the inside.